it's culturally really hard to imagine wine running out at a wedding because Chaldean weddings are insane. And we spend, from what I hear, something like the down payment of a house to pay for the wedding and enough time to write a couple of novels. And we put enough stress on our relatives, and especially the people getting married. We stress them out and pressure them so much about their wedding, enough to, it's shocking that all of them don't go into depression in preparation for their wedding. And yet, I think there's something that might be even a little bit worse, morally speaking, than the wedding prep itself. And that is that when people show up to something that took that much money and time and effort and stress to prepare, and people are invited to it, and they get there, they complain. And if everything's not just perfect the way they would have imagined doing it, they're insulted, they're offended. That's worse, I think, morally speaking. That's a darker, uglier heart. The person that complains about a party that they were invited to, that's worse than the people that are doing their best to make it something nice, even if that can be kind of exaggerated pretty often. And then on their way to the wedding, and when they get there, everyone's kind of worried and concerned, making sure they look right, making sure their suit fits right, making sure they pick the right Rolex that matches the suit, and that their makeup is okay, and that their hair is okay, and that they spent enough money. And there's laws about how much money you have to spend, depending on how close the person is related to you at the wedding. And at no point do many of the people there, and I'm generalizing, but there's many exceptions to this, thank God. But at no point do a lot of people ever actually pray for the bride and groom. A majority, we have that as a kind of statistical fact, a majority don't even come to the church ceremony to actually witness the actual wedding. And when people say, oh, I'm going to a wedding, and I say, oh good, I'll see you there, I'll be at St. Peter's, they say, oh no, I don't mean that. That's not the wedding is at the hotel afterwards. That's what the wedding is in people's minds. That's not the wedding. That's a celebration. It's a beautiful celebration. The wedding is here. And the majority of people skip the wedding for, I don't know, hair or makeup or something else, and then go to the celebration, and they're celebrating the thing that they never attended, where they're actually there to pray for the people that are starting a family. And then, like I said, they get there, and the seating chart is wrong, and they were put at a table with people that they don't like, and they shouldn't. And why am I at this table over here? I should be at the table over there. And then there's complaints about that. And at some point, that type of heart, that type of person, makes somebody else's wedding about them. Imagine that. The most important day of people's lives, it's their life, it's their wedding, but it's somehow about you. Now, a wedding is one example that kind of, because it's so intense and there's so much going on, it kind of reveals what's going on in people's hearts. Let's look at Mary as a model for all of us. What does Mary do? Mary is invited to a wedding, and instead of worrying about herself and how she's going to get there and how she's going to look and all this stuff, look at what Mary is paying attention to, just internally in her mind. To learn maybe what we can strive to be. What's Mary paying attention to? Not herself and not what she wants and what she needs and whatever. She's worried about the people there. She notices, oh man, they ran out of wine. And she feels bad for them. Not because it's the end of the world, who cares? And Jesus kind of responds like, well, it's a big deal. They ran out of wine, everyone's drunk already. We have an indication of that later. And yet, Mary, like, no, that's embarrassing. Gezile, like Mary's mind is like, these poor people, it's nice to have, it's just nice, it's nice. And they don't have something that's nice. literally is no big deal at all, and yet she notices somebody else's needs. Nobody went to her. Nobody said, hey, we're out of wine. No, she's paying attention to other people. Amazing. Imagine that. Imagine at a like high intensity moment, like a wedding, actually caring about somebody else. And noticing something that is not even your business, and yet she feels bad for them. That's incredible. And then what does she do? Another thing that's rare to do at weddings, as I said, she prays. She intercedes with Jesus. She talks to Jesus, her son, for the good of this couple, for the blessings of God to come upon this couple in the form of wine, just so that people can be happy at their wedding. So Mary prays. Her first reaction when she notices there's something wrong, that something could be better, her internal mind just takes her directly to, I need to pray. I need to talk to Jesus about this. She doesn't take it upon herself, but she takes it upon herself to intercede. And then, one of my favorite lines. Jesus says, what does this have to do with us? She just kind of ignores that. She tells the servants, do what he tells you. Do what he tells you. I love that line. And that's something that Mary, it's sort of her identity. Who she is, when you look at Mary, she is this line. Mary's identity is telling us, do what Jesus tells you. And she points to him. And by the end of this miracle, and this is really one of the most remarkable things about this, at the end of this, nobody knows what happened. Nobody at the wedding. Mary knew, Jesus knew, and then the disciples who were with Jesus, the few that were invited with him, and the waiters. Everyone else, the guy who was in charge of the party, the sort of MC, the master of ceremonies, went there and was like, where did this come from? He had no idea. And he goes to the groom, he's like, you saved the good stuff until now, where was this? Mary intercedes, Jesus performs a miracle, and nobody knows what happened. They do something glorious and beautiful, but it's somebody else's wedding. And Jesus' first miracle gets off, because he doesn't want to make somebody else's wedding about himself. Mary is responsible for Jesus' first miracle on this earth. And if John hadn't been there and witnessed it and written it down years later, nobody would have ever known about it. Because Mary did not want to make somebody else's wedding about herself. But a wedding is just as I said, it's just a symbol. All of life is like this. All of life, we have a temptation every single day to just obsess about ourselves, not even pay attention to others, not even care about them. Not even notice that they might be in need, because we're so absorbed with all the things that we want. And every day we have the possibility to actually pray for people, or to just forget about prayer entirely, to never intercede, to never make it a point that maybe other people need me to pray for them. And every day we have the temptation to make everything about ourselves and draw attention to ourselves and be upset when people don't pay attention to us and don't notice us and give us the respect that we think we deserve. And every day we have the opportunity to be like Mary and to be like Jesus and to real miracles in our faith and through our prayers, to perform real miracles and to go totally unnoticed and not take any of the attention to ourselves and let all the glory go to God. So brothers and sisters, strive to be as much as possible like Mary, who is the model of all of us as Christians and as worshipers of Christ. And invite her to your house and to your family and to your marriage. Invite her and invite Jesus there. And ask her to pray for you so that you can have the grace to be like her and to be like her son.